say good morning. Good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio GBN TV. Welcome to the mid-morning buzz here on Classic Radio GBN TV. I'm your host, GT. And this morning, of course, we're into a segment called Cooperative Spotlight. My guest, we have Mr. Denson Slocum with us this morning. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome.
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to all the viewers and the listeners. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
You know, we've been having a little off-air conversation there that,
Yeah.
Have a look at that one.
Yes.
All right. Of course, so Mr. Slocum, you use the Business Support Executive of the Grenada Cooperative League.
Yes.
Tell me about your role to get the conversation started. Tell me about your role as the business executive.
All right. So before we get into the actual role of the league itself, so to answer your question, Business Support Executive, my role is really to assist cooperatives in developing themselves, socially, economically, marketing-wise, working on their strategy, search out ways that they can improve their business, their business practice, their productivity, and get off here with the business acumen that is floating around right now. Because sometimes you see that there are cooperatives who form because of a common technical ability. So we're all fishermen, we're all farmers, but when it comes to business acumen, when it comes to business practices, when it comes to understanding finances, setting up a business plan, business strategy, there may be some
practical part that we have control of that, the practical aspect of the business.
There may be some assistance with that.
When it comes to the business
of it, that's where we come in and we try to assist them as best as possible to help their business become sustainable. Because sustainability is one of the things that we cherish as at the league when it comes to assisting cooperatives.
All right, interesting to know. I mean, and I've liked that the cooperative goes that distance with businesses, because no one like a business startup and fails. Right?
And
as it whatever.
They say most businesses fail within the first 5 years, and we don't want to believe that. We want to think that all cooperatives should thrive 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And it all goes back to how we start, and the support that they get as they go forward.
Yeah, and the cooperative certainly supplies that particular. And support is relevant in how you look at it.
Yes.
It is relevant, and in all aspects of business, as simple as a business may be, once you have that technical support behind you, especially, can you remember if you think of it, how most businesses start or become, or how the individuals come together and they decide, hey, let's start that cooperative. It starts with a thought, more or less. It starts with that thought, and hey, we are a bunch of farmers and our farmers, and we think we can do this or do X, Y, and Z. And the practical aspect, as I mentioned, maybe I know how to plant, I know how to reap my crop.
Exactly.
But some of them may not know how to sell that particular crop. How to sell that particular crop.
How to market it.
How to market that particular
packaging,
crop. All aspects of it. So that's where the Cooperative League comes in. And your role being the business shows them the patterns, if I can use that particular word, and the whole concept that could get your business growing to the way you want.
Right. So and just to get into what the league on a whole, so Grenada Cooperative League, we're the apex body for all cooperatives.
Yes.
Persons may know it as the Grenada Credit Union League, because initially we were focused solely on credit unions, but after some years it was understood that the businesses that we offer, the service that we offer, is for all cooperatives. So then I was renamed to Grenada Cooperative League Limited. Okay. So we offer service to all cooperatives, whether it's financial or non-financial. And our focus more today is the non-financial, because everybody knows what a credit union
financial
is.
Part of it.
But some persons, they may have heard the word cooperative pegged on to certain names, but they don't realize that what a cooperative may be. For instance, you hear Grenada Cooperative Bank, right, which may sound as if it's a cooperative, but there's some history there. But persons may not know organizations like CTEC. I think CTEC was here.
They were here a few
weeks ago.
Yes.
CTEC is a cooperative, but you go to the gas station, you get your gas, but you may not know that that's a cooperative. There's a Guava Fisherman's Cooperative, Sobeys Fisherman's Cooperative, and there are a lot of different organizations who function as a cooperative, and persons may not know. So our whole ambition is that we want to have the cooperative sector to be a sector that is leading in Grenada economy, because right now we realize that we have an economy that is growing in terms of population, capacity. Right now, 20 years ago, the amount of persons that had some level of technical qualification or some degree was a lot less than now. So we have persons who are growing in technical capacity. We have a growing population, and now we have to create that space where they can take advantage of that so that they can become productive citizens of Grenada. Not everybody can start a small business. Not everybody could go and work for somebody. Not everybody can work for the government. So that's where Cooperative comes in. And we want to create that space where persons are eager to say, well, okay, I can do this, you can do that. We have a common goal. Let's form a cooperative so that we can go forward.
Let's focus a wee bit on the non-financial, just a wee bit. From a cooperative standpoint, what drives the survival of these particular cooperatives?
Well, the survival of it comes from the one's ability to take the common capacity that they have, right? The common technical capacity, form it into a business package, and get the support that they need to consistently produce and sell and circle back that practice.
But the key point here is a non-financial part of it.
Yes,
the non-financial part.
So when you say non-financial cooperative, we talk about everything that is not a credit union.
Okay.
Right. Every cooperative that is not a credit union.
Cooperative union.
Yeah. So you're talking about your fisherman co-op, your farmer co-op, your IT co-op, any co-op that is formed outside of the credit union sector, right? And it comes with not even the financing, because financing right now is it's a challenge, but I don't think it's the main challenge.
But it plays a role in the overall movement of that cooperative, though.
Yes, because ultimately, any cooperative has to have a business plan, right? And once a business plan is bankable, you will get financing, you will get funding for it. Okay. We are also working in conjunction with the credit unions to facilitate that cooperatives can get financing if they were needed. But I think outside of the financing is that ability to organize yourself and have a proper business plan, a proper business structure as a cooperative. Because you said it yourself, a group of farmers come together, we love farming, we know farming, right? We may even know how to sell individually. So I set up a stand outside of my house and I sell. But when you come together as a cooperative, how can we make that into a business that is sustainable?
No, you have quantity.
You have quantity.
Yes.
You have economies of scale.
Yes.
Right? Now you have to talk about packaging. Now you have to talk about finding markets not only locally but regionally and internationally. Now you have to talk about how do we have a supply chain and a value chain. So these are a lot of the conversation that comes up, and how do we now manage all of that and maintain this cooperative to be active? Because most cooperatives fail because of lack of governance, and we'll get to that.
Yes.
Right? They don't have a proper governance structure, and then lack of a functioning business plan. Yeah, right. And that will lead to lack of financing and everything else.
Now, the importance of governance especially for the non-financial, how important is that?
It's extremely important. It is extremely important because we've had a lot of discussions over the past weeks on what is a cooperative and so on.
Yes, we have.
And one of the things you see that the governance structure of a cooperative is not the same as a sole trader, right? It's not a one-man show, right? It's a group of persons come together, voted in democratically by the membership to lead the process.
Yes.
If that governance structure breaks down, because the governance is responsible for all the planning, the strategic direction of the cooperative. Yeah. If that breaks down, the whole
it runs as leads in the cooperative.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if that breaks down, the whole structure breaks down. Right? We've had cooperatives in the past who subsequently was I should say turned into sole traders because the whole governance structure breakdown.
So one individual decided I just want to go with what people are doing.
And it just continues. Right? But then the membership won't benefit from that. Yeah. And the ultimate goal of a membership of a cooperative is each one help each one to become better. Yeah. Right? Collaboration. And when it breaks down, the profit doesn't go back to the cooperative, it goes back to to one person, two person. And so governance is important because it maintains the structure of the cooperative. It maintains the strategic direction of the cooperatives. It gives and it's by law, because every cooperative is supposed to have a board of directors. It's supposed to have these committees and set up in a way where you can clearly see that this is the governing body by law that runs the cooperative.
And following the bylaws and everything.
And following your bylaws and following strict bylaws that directs the direction of how the cooperative should be managed and operated. So governance is very important. As I say, if you take the head of a dragon, the dragon is useless.
Yes, nobody has no direction. When we have that downfall of the governance part, especially for the non-financial, the downfall, where does the cooperative league fits in there now?
Right. So our job, and I would say that it's unfortunate that a lot of cooperatives they come to us at that point. Right, because we are here to offer support from the cradle to the cradle, and I'm not saying the grave because we don't expect you to die, right? You are expected to renew yourself and start even stronger. But yes, when the organization reaches that point, we come in, we assess the organization, we assess what they have in terms of the governance, the operations, the bylaws, the functioning, the historic performance, and we try to find some of the pain points. Where did the breakdown happen? At what point did this functioning cooperative reach to this point? And obviously everybody would point finger at somebody, but we have to follow the data, follow the experience of the cooperative back to that point where the breakdown happened, and then we will step in with assistance in terms of training, assistance in terms of strategic direction. So we help you to rebuild your strategic plan.
A way of rebooting them, per se.
Yeah. If you need to find funding, we'll try to assist you in how to find funding. The league also, we would have a small revolving fund that could assist some cooperative if needed, and we will try to give you the capacity and the tools to revive your cooperative and ensure that we hold your hand until if it's a point where the Department of Cooperative, the body with which we work very closely together with, if they step in and they say no, you're under receiver managership, then we will step in as receiver manager. So now it's not only giving advice and recommendation, we're responsible for managing and assisting you directly to build you back up to speed.
So like you coming in and taking control. Taking a bit of control.
Under the powers of the Department of Cooperative.
Take control. And I mean, does that lead to where that particular non-profit, of course, cooperative gets to redevelop themselves?
Yes.
And they could probably get to the point where they could reactivate themselves to a point and take over after the
right. So in most cases, it leads to that. There may be a case where we come in and we realize the business structure isn't practical.
Can't work anymore.
And you're beating at the dog, and it was just dry up resources, and then we may make a recommendation to the department. Well, maybe this cooperative cannot function as is. They may need to restructure. They need to find a different business model. They may need, in rare cases, they may need to dissolve. Right? This is the last case scenario. But our first and main purpose and objective is always to revive the cooperative. Reach it back to a point where we can say, here, we hand this back over to you. We've trained your staff, we've trained your board of directors, you have a governance structure, we've revamped your business plan, we've strengthened your bylaws. Now here, continue your work and go forward. That is our
Now, the particular division of cooperative, when it comes in, especially with the non-cooperative, of the non-financial cooperative, organization that comes together, you work closely with them on all points. You work closely with them on all points in terms, as you mentioned, from the cradle to wherever they are, they have to reach.
Right.
All right. In that continuing process, how does the cooperative league flow with them? Is it on a monthly basis, a yearly basis, and so forth, in terms of making sure that not only that particular one, but all of these non-financial? Is it that a task that goes along for you, the league?
Well, yes. So the league has we're talking just non-financial because on the financial side, there's a whole
different scenario. I understand that.
On the non-financial side, we have a continuing a continuous mandate, right?
Yeah.
Advocacy. So we're always looking at ways we can advocate with the public sector, with the government, with other bodies for benefits for the cooperative.
Okay.
A recent example is that we secured funding from small grants, GEF small grants, to do a study tour where we took some of the cooperative from Grenada, we flew them to India, to go to different cooperatives within India and learn different sustainable practices, and how to come back to Grenada, and now they have to teach this to other cooperatives so that we do the best practices and so on. So this is part of what we do. All right. But to answer the question directly, yes, we have month-to-month plans because we have a department within the Cooperative League, which is a technical development department that is directly responsible for non-financial cooperative, and part of it is the plan trainings. They collaborate with the Department of Cooperative to do on-site inspections. We plan and structure how we source financing and funding for these different trips that we may want to take or different projects that we want to undergo, and that department is solely responsible for the non-financial cooperatives. So it's not something that we just jump on whenever they need help, but we try to always be there from inception straight up to the development and onwards. And that
guidance process.
Yes, we guide.
I want you to talk to me about. I'm trying to keep the conversation a whole lot on the non-financial today. Right. I want you to talk to me about the challenges that the cooperative, of course, run into from time to time with these non-financial
cooperative. Yeah, well, of course there will be challenges because we're dealing with people. We're dealing with business, so there will be challenges. Some of the challenges that we face, I think I alluded to it earlier, is that they don't come to us until there's a major problem.
That major breakdown.
So that level of engagement isn't there. We don't like to be seen as a league as just a problem solver. We like to be seen as the apex body, the partner that want to help, but they come to us a lot of times when it's really bad, when it's problems are on the horizon, and we have to step in and try to find solutions. And another issue is that a lot of the cooperatives, once they are formed, sometimes we have this legacy mentality where 10 of us form this and this is ours. So and it stifles the growth, yes. It stifles the growth. And we don't want any outside influence or outside, we don't want somebody to come from the outside. We don't want a league to come and tell us what you have to do because we started this and this is ours. And a lot of times it may seem noble because, you're passionate about what you do, but it closes the door for growth and development and for a dynamic way of thinking and for the ability to pivot and to recognize, well, all of your members are now in their 70s. What are you doing? And they're still holding on to these things. So these are some of the challenges. Some of the challenges we have, financing. May not be a challenges that we have with the cooperative, but a challenge that they face that we have to always be on the lookout for. How do we get a cooperative to not only get financing, but be in a position where they can use that financing to be able to garner more financing?
Yes.
Because a lot of things we see is that when it comes to these international organizations that may want to give grants or to the banks that want to give loans, they want to see a history. They want to see is your paperwork in place? Do you have a history of sales, a history of proper financial management? And if they can't see that, it's difficult. So it comes to the point when they need financing now, we may have to come in now and see, well, how can we help you to get that financing? Yeah. So I think it all comes, it stems from the reluctance of the cooperative to see the involvement of the league from the start and not just when it comes into problem. But we've since tried to develop a more closer relationship with newly forming cooperatives so that we can avoid it getting to that stage.
All right. Now, growth is something I'm assuming the Cooperative League will encourage all, especially the non-finance. They have to be a concept of growth.
Yeah, yes.
You don't want to stay at one particular stage all the time.
Definitely.
Yes, as you said, 10 members may come together and decide we're going to do this. but we're hoping for, even though it's non-financial, it can grow to 50 and more.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the encouragement words that you will offer to cooperative that seem to be stagnant for some reason or the other? You know, I mean, you mentioned financing is something that is all, the finance part of it is always something that is important.
Right.
They have to be able to generate finance in order to continue growth of their thing. What advice you will always throw to those non-financials who seem to be stagnant and not growing for some reason or the other? From since they start, that's an individual been selling 10 pound of fish. I mean, just for example, and you would love to see them start selling 100 pounds of fish. And you would like to see maybe those farmers who've been doing that 5 baskets of tomatoes grow to 100 basket of tomatoes. You understand, on a monthly or weekly basis. So what kind of advice you usually throw to them on that thing?
Well, I would say and I will say that the objective of a cooperative is not to survive, but to thrive.
Okay.
Right? If you want to operate a cooperative on survival mode, you're robbing yourself of a better future. You're robbing yourself of...
So you're saying it should not be about survival?
No, it shouldn't be about, we make a little pennies and we share it all.
Good with that? No.
Well, for instance, as I said, we just got back from India. We went to India in May of this year. We brought a team of cooperative over there. And in India, we learned so much about the cooperative movement over there. Right? We were able to step into a $1 billion cooperative. And to see how this cooperative has expanded, started off with 5 persons just wanting to sell milk, and it became into a $1 billion milk, chocolate, all kind of products cooperative. Yeah. And one may say, oh, but India is big and India is... No, but we're not talking about the size of the population. We're talking about the size of the idea. To start from a couple people and turn it to $1 billion cooperative. Then we saw
usually all business starts with an idea.
With an idea.
Yeah.
And then we saw cooperatives that were comprised of other cooperatives, and we saw an intricate web, a cycle of cooperatives that feed into each other. So I may produce the milk, and I sell to you that produce the cheese, and you sell to you that has the let's say sandwich cooperative. Yeah. And everybody now forms together. You create the textile, and I create the clothing, and then there's one that in charge of marketing and so on. And it really drove home that understanding that the growth of a cooperative is limited to the vision of the board, the vision of those who are in leadership. If you just want your cooperative to be that place where we get a few $100s a year, we share it up at the end of the year, and we start off from zero. One of the things that we encourage cooperatives to do is that, yes, we know you have to give a bonus at the end of the year because you have to give back to your members, but there should also be, outside of your development fund, there should also be a vision of how do we grow, how do we add more products, how do we expand. We have let's say there's a cleaning cooperative that cleans. A group of ladies come together and they have to clean. If you get a contract to clean, let's say a government building, or you get a contract to clean GBN, yes, you may be getting enough money to pay your salary and have a profit. But won't you rather seek out additional contracts, hire more persons, be able to impact? Because the cooperative is
the inclusion of proper equipment and all of these, all that, and so that makes they say that'll learn to work easier too, right?
Yeah.
You understand?
So instead of having to go out and sweeping the floor, you buy some
you get the vacuum cleaners and all of these things.
Makes your work easier, makes you more productive, and now you have enough space and fiscal space and human resource to expand to other things.
So that's where the thriving part you mentioned comes in.
Thriving, not just saying, oh, we're surviving and we're making some money. Because ultimately, if you love what you do, money will always come.
So true.
If you're good at what you do, money will always come. So how can we build this cooperative into something that we can be proud of, that can grow, that can expand? I believe that in Grenada, we can have $1 billion cooperative here. We won't be selling in Grenada alone because we don't have the people, but we will be exporting.
There's a possibility
we'll
for
be
it to do it.
exporting, we'll be doing all kind of different things, right? But it has to start at the governance structure, accepting the support by the league, accepting the direction by the Department of Cooperative, but have a vision of where do we want to go in 5 years? And does that vision look like something that is expansionary or just maintaining the status quo? I believe that is what I would say, and I say to the cooperative.
In terms of for them to for that growth pattern.
Because what do we try to do? When we speak to boards, you identify the limiting vision. You identify the limitations that they may have to growth, right? You ask them, where do you want to go? Where do you see the cooperative? What do you see that cooperative being in your life and in the impact of members? And then you understand what the limitations is. Some person may think, okay, we're making enough, right? We're making enough. We have like $1,000 surplus at the end of the year. Everybody gets a little $500, $100 bonus. We're making enough. But my question is, are you making enough where your cooperative can impact the families of your members?
Yeah.
Is the cooperative impacting the neighborhood where you're situated? Is this cooperative hiring more people year on year and impacting their lives? Because it shouldn't be something that is closed into 10 people. It may start as that, but how do we impact more and more persons as we get bigger and bigger? And that is what I believe the cooperative vision is. Yeah. Right? People helping people. Not just helping the first 10 that came to that finished the race first, but how can we expand so that we can continue impacting
get 10, 20, 30 more.
Can you imagine if our credit unions remain at 10, 12
members and that's it?
We wouldn't have an Ariza, we wouldn't have a Nexa, we wouldn't have a Communal.
I agree. Right? So even though it may be non-financially, but you have to think in that particular way.
You have to think in that
particular way.
Not only growth financially, but how do you grow in membership, how do you grow in service, how do you grow in all the different areas of the cooperative.
All right. Of course, just welcome. I want to thank you all. That's what we're going to wrap our conversation for today. And I certainly hope the information we shared this morning, individuals who are thinking of starting a cooperative.
Yeah, right.
These are, there's much more than just the startup process we haven't talked about. We have talked about that in previous shows already. We talked about the whole lot. But I like the idea that you sprung in terms of the non-financial ones, the things that they're to do for growth. You understand? And it's not just being in that stagnant water.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, we have $1,000 at the end of the year. Well, we think we give each 10 members get $1,000. $100. Where you could have grown to a thought where each member, that 10 member, if it's 10, could have gotten 3,000.
Exactly.
And it could have sprung off to other people. And then on that investment and reinvestment continues.
Exactly.
So thank you once again. Anything in closing before we take a wrap? Of course.
Well, I just want to say the Greater Cooperative League is open for anyone who wants to reach out to us to ask questions about forming cooperative. We are here to assist a cooperative, and cooperative is the new best thing for Grenada. So I encourage you all, if you have a business plan and you know a couple of people that we have that similar idea and you want to get some direction, join a cooperative, start a cooperative. It'll be good for you.
There's lots of benefits in it. Lots of benefits. Once again, thank you all.
No very much.
All right. Hey folks, that's how we're going to take a wrap for this edition of the Mid-Morning Bugs. All compliments of folks of the Grenada Cooperative League. It's called Cooperative Spotlight. Join us again next week for another edition. That's what we say goodbye for today.